Remember all of those necessary changes the administration made to the health care law? Well, they might have been necessary, but it turns out a lot of them might have been illegal. So say 11 state attorneys general who argue that fixing the law is one thing, changing it completely after the fact, well, that's quite another. To hear West Virginia AG Patrick Morrisey tell it, the law now bears no resemblance to the bill that was signed into law then, and that is a huge problem right now. Mr. Attorney General, good to have you. What particularly makes this law and the changes essentially illegal?
Well, I think there are a couple different reasons. One, what the president has done repeatedly over the implementation period is that he's disregarded clear statutory provisions. And we, the 11 attorneys general, just recently got together to focus on these so-called administrative fixes. And here's the problem with them. As I think many people, the American public knows, the president has an obligation to faithfully execute the laws. It's called the Take Care Clause. And he's ignored that provision. And that's not acceptable because while the administration possesses some discretion in terms of when they enforce certain provisions, they don't get to just ignore the law wholesale. That's one of the things that's happening here.
Well, he says, you know, this take care provision. He says this take care provision means he has to take care to make the law workable and usable and workable ultimately for millions of Americans for whom it was not. Is he on thin legal ice doing so?
I think he is on thin legal ice. The fact is that all of the court cases interpreting the take care provision, they look and ensure that the president and their agencies are faithfully executing the law. And that means that they have some balancing and some judgment that they can engage in. But that's not what happened here. Here, the administration literally took the position that it was not going to be enforcing. They tried to hand part of that decision off to the states, but they did so in an unlawful manner. And I think that it's really important for the public to know that beyond the Take Care Clause, they also went way too far when they actually came up with this new condition as the way that you could get to these administrative fixes. And I think there's a violation of separation of powers, or at a minimum, a failure to comply with the Administrative Procedures Act. They've just done it all wrong, and this is not the first time that they've messed up. You look at the employer mandate, you look at some of the cost-sharing provisions, you look at a number of issues relating to low-income verification. They continually disregard the law, and that's not what an executive branch is supposed to do. You
know, I'm sure you've heard the administration's point of view, General, that they can't win for love or money with a lot of UAGs insofar as you blocked them at every step and turn along the route to this becoming law. It becomes law, and then you say any changes they make in a law that a lot of you guys never liked in the first place is in itself illegal. They can't win for love or money. What do you say?
Well, I think that's a convenient excuse and pretty weak at that. One of the things that we've offered as Attorney General is that we say that we actually don't object to the concept that if you like your insurance, you should get to keep it. So we're all in agreement on the substance. Where we differ from the president and this administration is we're actually saying use a legal and a constitutional mechanism to make changes. That means going to Congress. That means drafting a bill, passing it through both houses, and ultimately having it signed into law. That's just not what happened here. There's an easy way for the president to address this issue. He's chosen to take the politically expedient approach, and that's not right. And I actually am really worried that this kind of culture of lawlessness undermines the Constitution. That really, a lot of the AGs and I are very concerned about that.
Patrick Morrisey, Attorney General of the fine state of West Virginia. Thank you, sir.